What is up, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, day traders, cloud swing traders? Hope you guys are doing absolutely fantastic. Hope you guys are feeling good. We got Albert in the house. Good morning to you. Good morning to Anna, Andy. We got Andy. Good morning to Ann, Brad, Brian. Jenny's in the house. Good morning to GXM, Jay, Joe, Kevin, Lauren, Marius. We got Martina. Good morning to you. We got Russ. We got Tim. We got Wendy. You guys are piling in. I love it. And all my people out YouTube land. We got M Sky. Good morning to you. Clarice. Good morning. All my lurkers in that background and just won't say anything all day. That's okay. I still love you. It's okay. Just hit that like and subscribe buttons. And we got CPI. So CPI came out. That's what we were waiting for. We were waiting for it. We had some nervous traders into CPI. It came out essentially into expectations. Actually, core came in a tad light actually. So little reversal, and we get some breathing room. We kick the can down the road until we get to Jerome Powell. I think the next big thing on the agenda would be the inauguration. See what happens with that, and then we start the new administration with the Jerome Powell coming up on the agenda. So we'll see how everything plays out. Right now, a little bit different than yesterday, kind of. Yesterday we opened up, we gapped up. It was a retest gap. We did fill the full retest. We actually went a little further extended than we probably should have. Bulls did come back. They rallied toward the end, and we did close above some key support. So hung on. Was a retest gap. It looks like a retest gap at this point. But there was some bulls in here. There was some bulls. Let's see where they did pile in. I think it was toward the end of the day. Yeah, toward the very end of the day, we were struggling a little bit with this 583.80. Couldn't really close above it at the very end. But some bullish sentiment coming into at least setting some positions, staying above that 100 EMA. Interesting gap today where we were back above the 50, back above the 20 in a longer term sense. If we could continue to stay above this, we stay stacked on those moving averages, giving us some more momentum for maybe a longer term breakout. That being said, um, we do have a decent resistance. I got VPOC from December 20th, and then I got another VPOC, relatively the same, it's had different couple pennies off, but relatively the same spot from January 3rd, the first, I believe that's the first trading day of the year. Was that the first? Let's see. No, the second was the first day of the year. All right, so the second trading day of the year through in this one. So we're right back to the beginning of the year, pretty much wiping out any anything that's happened since then in terms of progression, but resistance is looming. This, even though it is red candle, I think you have some element of some profit taking. We still are, don't forget, we're still in a little bit of a choppy market. Looking at where this thing could get a bounce, keep in mind what I do like a lot is this candle from three trading days ago, so Friday. That was probably our last big volume candle. We are above that one. The next one, which is a little bit lower, is this one. We still have to face this. And then you have this big monstrosity we still have to get all the way through too. I think we can. I don't know about right at open. We'll see where this thing actually opens at. But if we're opening anywhere above, I'd say about 591.60. Maybe let's go a little higher. 591.90. Let's go with. If we're opening anywhere above there, I think we have some more room up. And I think a really big resistance is into this 594.14 zone. I'll even call it like 595, give it a little room, but somewhere up into that zone would also be roughly about 50% retracement of this candle. So any bears that are still in this thing going, this market's coming down, probably a decent level for them to try to protect, to push it down. We haven't really we did retest this at some point. All of these levels, by the way, they've been retested. The last one, bigger term time frame, is really 598.64. But we've messed around all within this range. We're kind of smack in the middle of it. I bet if we were to do a Fibonacci on this thing too, let's see. We go Fibonacci for this retrace. We're opening at or slightly above, depending on how accurate those lines are. And I would say not to the penny, but roughly right into that 618. So we'll see. We're at an interesting spot for some of these bulls, I think, to take some gains on this rip. This might cause a little bit of a fade, and we'll see again where number one, where we open. I would like to still hang into this 588.50. I think that should be a decent, if we pull back, hang into that spot, leave this open. If that wick wasn't there, that'd be an island reversal, which would be extremely strong. But I think you're going to get some profit taking into this gap, even though it is a pretty solid move on the day so far, at least. But right back into the choppy market zone. We got the Qs. Qs looking kind of similar. Nice bounce off that 100. You're not above the 20 on this one yet, but we are above the 50 EMA. First resistance I see, which this one has not been retested. I think this will be a strong one. 514.23. If you can break through it and you can get through that 20 EMA, I think your longer term stretch target for today is 517.43. Again, I'm not sure we could get there. We have the news out. We are coming into earnings season. You still got a new president, and you still have big chop zone that we're kind of just retesting. So I do think some bulls might be looking into to light some of their positions up for now. We will see. I don't know if I was sitting on the sidelines as a bull, is this the spot that I'd feel comfortable of like, yeah, we're definitely breaking from here? I don't know with certainty. I don't think I could say that. So maybe on a retest, I'm like, okay, we ran and that does look bullish. So at least we have some more data. Maybe I can get in, but now it's too high. Um, I think we probably give some of these gains back. I wouldn't be too shocked if we did, but I'm watching those levels. So as soon as we start breaking through, we'll go to the next one and just kind of continue that trend up. TLT did start to bounce a little bit, so there's some hopium. That's a good gap for TLT. Off of this 85.29 close, you have really we just came back to these levels from back here. Didn't even quite get all the way down to the bigger zone, which is 84.47. But really nice gap. It is a retest gap from yesterday, but we're clearing some decent 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days of candles. We're just inside this one. If TLT pulls back, I'd look for some decent support around $86. You have a little bit ways to go until resistance, somewhere around 86.93, but a little bit of life in the 10 year or the 20 year. So we'll see. We'll see how the bond people want to react. If we get some follow through, we are relatively low on it, and maybe we could get some kind of substantial bounce. Hopefully, at least over the next coming days, stabilize the market a little bit, and I think that would be good for the overall market in general. Oracle is the first ticker on my list. If you guys have other tickers that you want to take a look at, just throw those into the chat. We could pull that up. We got Oracle though. Nice gap on this one. Nice gap on this one. That looks like a little bit of a three-bar reversal. Not hugely strong, but it's definitely there. And we're right at the top of that. You have some room to go to, I think 162.78 would be my target. That's still about it's about $3 up. $3 and change higher. If we could get through this one, which even if we do, if you think this one's gonna go past it, let's put it like that. If you think it's gonna go past that resistance, I would be fully expecting some kind of a pullback at that zone, some kind of consolidation at least. Worst case, more or less, I think we do something like this at least, and then we kind of start to rebound. But nice hammer right at that 200. This is a three-bar reversal, right? To some extent, in a longer term, three-bar candle, and that would be my first resistance. Is this going to be enough for a bigger, longer term? I'm not sure about that one yet. I think we have, if this starts the new wave down, 1, 2, this is 3. We do get that bounce 4. We probably come back double bottom somewhere, and then for a longer term move. But in a short term day trade, that looks like a decent gap. So let's throw this one a little bit higher on the list for today. I forget, is Oracle spreading? I feel like I haven't had a good. I feel like I haven't had a trade on Oracle in a minute. All right, let's see. We got Tesla. Tessie. Uh yep. I'm in this one now. I told you guys as I was leaving the room yesterday, I was like, if we get down to this 395 zone, I'm buying some calls. I sold my calls. I sold my calls the other day, very close to the top based on that last VPOC. This is going to be an interesting one. Um, I'm probably going to sell the calls, and then I just kind of rebought back here. The same exact contract, February 21st. Got it for actually like $200-300 cheaper than I paid the first time. So I'm really happy about the gap up on this. But you're at a little bit of resistance. Again, we've been through this one before. I think what's going to be more telling is where Tesla actually opens. We still have 18 minutes to the bell. But if we could hang in above 409.49, I think you have room back to essentially the highs of the day yesterday, 21.92. This is the third time that we've been up here. This is my question. Can we get through it today? Is today going to provide enough juice for us to rampage with the next target being 432? If it can, we've got massive upside on Tesla. We've got one resistance zone somewhere back around this 422. We probably even see a little bit of a pullback. And then if we're going to go through it, you probably intraday need at least one more push, one pullback, then one push up. Um, is today the day? That's the biggest question I have. Is today the day? Every single time we've got up here, I think this resistance is a little bit weaker. Today might be the day we get through it, and then you have targets like I'll call it 431. I'd probably be out by like 430. I'll probably be out by like yeah 420 429.93 because I'm a wimp. We'll see. But if this thing starts to open anywhere under 409, then I think you're in for maybe another decent sized pullback. Maybe you can hold this 407.83 after that. I think you get that bigger pullback where I'll just be out of the position. But I'm gonna try to hold as long as possible. I'm very tempted to sell up here at this 421 zone again, 422 if we get there. But I do like Tesla. I think we could get maybe a setup pre-market on this one, actually. Mm, let's wait. That's a big candle. Let's see if we can get any pullbacks whatsoever. Let's see what those intraday candles look like. Otherwise, pre-market breakout, you're looking for entry around 413.29. Wendy says, let's do it. Wendy, you played this thing like a champion yesterday. Incredible. That's gonna go on my list for sure, though. Nvidia, it's gonna be a fun one today, I think. Tesla. Watch the bell rings, it just does nothing all day. It was like, DJ, what are you talking about? You got Nvidia. Nvidia. Nice little gap on this one. Not as strong yet in terms of at least where Tesla and Oracle sits at. Nonetheless, decent. Pretty big resistance on this one. I think this is a fade. I think if you're going to try to play this one, inside candle, about 50% of yesterday's move into big resistance. I think probably out of the gate you get a fade. Watch for see if you can hold 132.30. That is also right around that 100 EMA. If the market stays strong today, I don't think we see this 131.09, but that would be where yesterday's VPOC is. We are starting to, this is a gap up above two lower VPOCs as well. So I do think there's going to be some strength. I would want to see a pullback on this. To the higher side, your target is going to be up to 135.95, right around yesterday's high. Again, we did hit that yesterday, so maybe going for a little bit more. Maybe we could get that breakout 136.93. But I would want to see a little pullback on this one first. I think that can happen. AMD. AMD. Man, we I tried to trade this one yesterday. We even had a 3R target in there. We were right and wrong at the same time. hmm We were right and wrong. I was looking for this. I wanted, and if you guys scroll back to yesterday's YouTube, I wanted this one to pull back, to fade, get down to these 116 levels, somewhere in that zone. We were calling a decent spot where this thing should hold. It went a little bit lower, started to break down. We got the stop on this one before this one kind of hung in, and then it took 2 days. And I think this one looks even healthier today. Still, just like Nvidia, and maybe this is going to go for all the chips. I've only looked at two of the chips so far. But I still inside day, there is obviously some selling pressure, some bear pressure. Some bulls might want to take some gains. I think this one might be a contender where we could get back to that 116.55 zone based on how weak AMD's been. Maybe this is a candidate where you can see this 115.85. So I don't think I would chase this one out of the gate. I still like the room to the higher side, at least to 119.43, and then after that, I think we got targets to 120.64 and eventually 121.77. I think there's some upside to AMD. It's just been so trappy. It's been hanging around here. But yeah, we had the right idea. We just couldn't couldn't get the trade to work for us, which is okay. It happens. But yep, we'll keep this one on the list. Move this one a tad higher. Palantir, PLTR. Nope, PLTR. Let's try that one. There we go. Uh, Palantir, that's also a very decent. It's a three-bar reversal. It has a little bit of wick to the top. So we open here, we close somewhere in the zone. We have all the price action through here. A little bit of wick here. So a little Doge sitting right at that 50 EMA. Not bad. Again, good gap up. I think there is some targets higher. Obviously, when Palantir opens, it could just run crazy. But somewhere in the vicinity of, I think for potentially today, and it might not be easy, but I'd have a target of $70.86. You do have two levels you got to kind of clear through. We are in not really a gap, but in between two kind of key levels with that resistance still coming in. I would see if this one could pull back. First spot I would look. I don't think I'd throw the order out there, but first spot, which I do think should provide good support. This is almost not tweezers because they're not directly next to each other, but really good resistance that came up here twice, both yesterday and on the 10th. That also lines up with that VPOC, which was resistance. If this one pulls back, my spot of interest, even for a swing trade, I think, would be get me in at somewhere around 68.20 with a stop at 63.28. Longer term, I think you have room back to at least 74, maybe kind of come up into this 75.95. So there's a little bit of room if you could make that risk to reward worth it. But yeah, looks really good. That looks like a really good resistance. We're above it. Let's see if we pull back into that support on Palantir. I wouldn't mind an attempted trade on that one too. All right, let's see what else we got. Uber. Joe, I feel like you've been liking Uber for the last couple days. You've been kind of loving Uber, I think. Or at least somebody said Uber yesterday. Maybe it wasn't you, to be fair. Maybe it wasn't. All right, let's see. We got moves. Let's take that off. Fantastic. I would do I would either on Uber for today do nothing or wait for a high wave candle. This might be a contender for a high wave candle. You are above decent resistance. So I got 1, 2, 3 days of resistance that were slightly above. This one we're kind of just sitting right at it. With a resistance, you got one more resistance on this thing right above you. I think probably the edge goes to the bulls. If I had to, you have a little bit more resistance below you than you do, or support below you than you do resistance above you. You also have a decent range in terms of where this thing has potential to go to, even for a day trade. I'd be looking for like this might be wild, but 68.27. You've been there before. That could break. I don't know if that all happens today. You're still gonna have to battle at 200 to 100. But in a longer term sense, I think you can get above that. You got retest spots really all the way up to like $72. So maybe not a bad play. Possibly a high wave candle. The question on this one is, do we get the momentum that actually steps in today? But kind of a little chopville. Again, I'd be patient and open unless you get some kind of decent high wave candle. See if we can get a break above it. Stops anywhere below $66. I think we'd at least get you a decent attempt on it. Joe says it was. I knew it. Leonard says even with all the downgrades and price adjustments, what's that for? For AMD? Yeah, I'm guessing it's AMD because they're the ones that had price adjustments all the way down to 110, yada 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 yada. Here's the thing about analysts. Be very, very careful to paying attention to them. Understand that they are putting out price targets because that's going to drive sentiment in the market, and maybe this thing stays down longer. Maybe eventually it does hit this 110. But if you look at the analyst reports when we were sitting here, when we're sitting here, when we're sitting here, when we're sitting here, most of them probably bullish. What do we see? Probably somewhere down here, somewhere down here, somewhere down here. You start getting all the bearish sentiment coming in, right? So it's just funny how it works. Usually after a stock has been clobbered and beat up, they're going to throw out their analyst targets at lower pricing because they don't want it's a lot easier. Let's put it this way. It's a lot easier to predict that something keeps going in that same direction than it is to be the one calling the bottom of something. Right? If I'm an analyst, I come out there and I'm like, AMD, this is probably the bottom. I'm going long. I'm going to put price targets back to 160, and then it just drops down to $90. I look like a complete idiot, right? Whereas opposed to, yeah, I was making calls at 150 before. I think my target should be 150 based on whatever I'm finding in the company, whatever it is. Um, and we're sitting somewhere around 140. It's likely it hits. I put that win in my book. I go, see, I called another one, right? They keep their jobs a little bit longer, and it's just a lot easier for them to just go in the same direction. So usually after a stock's already been kind of beat up, they're kind of already telling you. My question is longer term. Let's be realistic. And maybe it's not. Maybe it's a garbage company. Who knows? But my question to myself is: in 10 years from now, do I think that the price, if I was to go in, put all my money into AMD, does that mean I'm buying it at the best possible price? No, it might come lower, but in 10 years, do I think this company's more valuable than where we're sitting now? Do I think it's a higher price? I do. And I think that's how most people are looking at things in terms of just longer term investing, right? Is this a decent, am I getting a much more fair value? I'm definitely getting a much more fair value than when it was up at $200, right? And then if it comes down lower, I have the opportunities now to dollar cost average. So you will start to be met with support. And then as this thing starts to bounce, as this thing starts to rotate, that's when you start to see analysts say, oh, yeah, no, it's not 110. It is 150 now. So be very careful. There's different motives involved, there's different reasons they do it. So I do take all price targets with a grain of salt. It could definitely come down to 110. It could definitely come down to 80. Who knows, right? I have no idea what the future of AMD holds. But I do think they're a decent company. They actually have solid revenue. I didn't think the earnings report was that bad. And I think other people are going to look at this thing and just be absolutely terrified. Same thing with Lululemon. I was in there at 260 something my price. Every analyst, this thing is going out of business, way too much competition, and yada yada yada. Nothing's happening. I'm like, but they make tons and tons of revenue. Free cash flows out of their. It's crazy. A company with no debt, tons of free cash flow. It's very hard for this company to go to zero. So I was going, yeah, I'm gonna keep buying and buying and buying. Now we're up here. Now you start to see upgrades come in when down here it was all downgrades. So just be careful of how the market kind of moves a little bit. All right, let's see what else we got on the list. I see ticker 3382. I think this is one that we've been getting a request for a little bit as well. Yeah, for right now, you're still relying on this chart with a bullish engulfing candle if you're playing this one. You do have this pullback. That was about 50% of the candle. Good momentum on this one. This is almost setting up for a three-bar play. This candle is currently open now, but a three-bar play, you're playing a breakout, almost scalpish style if you want to take this one, right? You need a couple components to this one. Your bullish entry would be somewhere about here. And again, this is if you're not in it and just trying to set up a trade. And you're looking for some kind of stop here if you want to take this one. So essentially, you're just going to kind of case out the last red candle. You're only doing it on breakout candles with good volume, so this one qualifies for that. And then you do have a little bit of a resting candle. You want today, though, to be the day that you get triggered into this trade. If you don't get triggered today, that's not the trade, right? And then you're looking for some kind of bigger breakout. It's more of a momentum scalper type trade, but can definitely work in this situation. So you are looking at that. This one again, it's going to trade a little bit weird. You also had that big breakout candle here and just sat around for a couple days, so that would not be a three-bar play in this case. But that's how I would look to play it if I was trying. If I wanted to get into that, at least setup. Again, I'm not familiar with this one at all, but I know you do request it a decent amount. EMR. Let's check that one out. EMR, and then there's a couple more. Yeah, let's take a look at Hood as well. Jeff, you're also on hosting panels too. EMR is decent. I think you got some decent upside to it, a little bit at least. 122.06. I don't think I'd be the first one to buy the stock as soon as the bell rings. Um, just because, and I don't know how much of this company is tied into anything California wise right now with the fires. I don't know if involves them at all. I'm completely ignorant to the whole situation. But EMR, this is a retest gap, which is why I probably wouldn't be the first person to buy the share. If you could get a little pullback, great. 120.66, I think gives you a decent deal. This one could fully retest into this 119.70, so just be careful of that. Closest you can get to that, the better. Otherwise, to the higher side, you're looking at about 122.10. Hood, and then we'll take a look at Bros. Robin Hood. Yeah, looks like fantastic momentum. I think you get a little pullback here. I sold a covered call, was able to get out of it on this day. They hit my 80% capture. The next day, gap up, good move. I'm in there for I think next week, $47 strike. So I'm gonna keep moving it up higher and higher, see what happens. Really, really good gap on this one. I do think this one will have some kind of I think you're gonna have momentum in this one. I think this one is a great one for some continuation for today. Now the question is, how do we actually get into it, execute the trade? I'm thinking we have really, really good resistance or support somewhere around 43.43, 43.43 with yesterday's VPOC at 43.21. So there might be some people into this gap taking some gains. Other than that, I've got really no resistance on this one. I guess from back here we have a little bit. Um, yeah, getting a little tangled up. I'd even be looking for like a 46.22 for my target today, probably extended target. But I think you probably will have either the high wave candle or probably a decent profit taking candle set up. Watch this one for the next couple days as well. If we don't hit that 46 and change today, I do think as providing nothing crazy happens in crypto world, which is really what's going to depend on it. I think you see that $46 mark. Bros looks really nice too. Again, same thing, retest gap. Probably got to wait for a little bit of a small pullback. Nothing crazy. I like this level a lot that we're opening at though. Next immediate target on this one would take us up to 61.48, and I think maybe not today, but I do think in the cards 64.79 would be your really next target on this one, which absolutely can happen today, but retest gap, the close 18, I think the happier I would be, but we'll see how this one plays out. Otherwise, everybody in YouTube land, you guys are absolutely incredible. Make sure you guys hit that like and subscribe button if you have not done so already. And we've only got 2 more days left of this week.